Well, if you have been up in Summit County with friends or family and you're having some adventures that are kind of transforming your life and bringing your bond together, well, you can also bring that to your business team back home. And so I have Claudine joining me from CBST Adventures. So let people know, what is CBST Adventures?
CBST Adventures is a team building company, but we also bring in experiential learning and experiential leadership to that. So, not only just going out and having fun, but actually bringing learning principles to take back to the workplace and apply it to working with each other and building a strong team and corporate culture.
Okay, and so what do you do for them exactly?
I facilitate the events,
okay,
and then I also facilitate the learning curriculum. So when we bring in experiential learning or experiential leadership, we bring in different types of curriculum to that, and so that's the piece that I facilitate and design.
So can you talk a little bit more about what experiential leadership is, and maybe what are some of the specific, I guess, challenges or lessons that you teach or facilitate?
Right, so we bring in trending leadership development curriculum. So for example, there's emotional intelligence or the Oz principle or the culture code. So, to transform lives through adventure, how do we do that, right? And what we do in the emotional intelligence piece is that it's self-awareness and self-management. It's how people manage themselves in that team dynamic. But then it's also relationship management and relationship awareness, and how does that work when we're working with each other on a team. And so all that is the foundation of experiential leadership. It's, okay, so now that I know this about myself, how do I bring in about what I know about my team members, and how do we use that to build a strong team?
I imagine that must really help businesses out as far as their productivity after these adventures. I mean, what kind of comments have your clients given you?
A lot of it is, I didn't know that about my teammate or my coworker. And so learning about each other, not only, they have, of course you learn about the people you work with, but you learn about yourself. So for example, one of the challenges that we do is like a slack line. And so in the Oz principle, one of their teaching curriculum points is above the line thinking versus below the line thinking. So it's always having, positive, how can I take ownership of this and move towards accountability by saying, so they walk on the slack line, and the idea there is to say, okay, we want to be above the line, because on a slack line, you don't want to be on the ground, right?
Yeah.
You want to be able to get across on that above the line thinking. And so just thinking above the line and then walking on a slack line with the help of your teammates is part of that experiential piece, right?
I like how there's a pun in that activity.
Right, and they're all designed that way. And and then there's, for example, there's an activity called the Tyrolean Traverse, and they show up, and there's ropes and harnesses and helmets, and just laying on the floor or on the ground because we're outside, and there's 2 trees, and we tell them they have to use the 2 trees, they have to use the ropes, the harnesses, the helmets, and they have to get all their members from one side of the tree to the other. And they're looking at it like, with all these ropes, what do we do? But by the time they do some brainstorming and they move from that place from ignorance to knowledge, that's one of the teaching principles from the Oz principle. And then all of a sudden they build a slack line, and they put the helmets on, and they put the harnesses on, and then they're hoisting their team across from one tree to the other tree. And so that's an analogy of moving from ignorance to knowledge.
This sounds a lot of fun. So I know your tagline is transforming teams through adventure, and you definitely kind of been explaining how you're doing that, but I imagine there must be just so many different emotions and laughter and things going on in people. Can you talk about some of maybe those personal experiences if you had people in those moments?
Oh, definitely. And that's the place where learning happens the most, right?
Yeah.
So some of that is sharing some vulnerability. And so some people are like, I am not rock climbing up that wall. I have never rock climbed before. I didn't want to get a harness and climb up that wall while all my coworkers are watching me. And we talk through that, and we like I said about the emotional intelligence piece, we talk about that, and we talk about, well, why is that? And we break that down a little bit, and we go to those hard places and have those hard conversations of, what is it? Is it you're hanging in a harness, or is it because you've never done it? Is it the physical fear? And we have them share that vulnerability. And then what that does among the team is build some safety and some trust. And some people choose not to do it still, but some people still say, you know what, okay, I'll try it. And after they do it, with the accomplishment and that self-awareness piece is what is the transforming part of it. That's really cool to see. Not only that person making that personal transformation, but the team supporting them in that process.
And I imagine, that you guys are so successful with all this planning, but everyone that I've met from CBST Adventures is just great as well. So I imagine like you guys as a team, I can understand why, you have clients coming back.
Right, we have to practice what we preach.
Yeah, so you guys have your own sort of challenges.
Part of it, sometimes Jay and I are mountain biking or we're skiing, and we have chairlift meetings, or we're on the trails, and that's where some of the best brainstorming and ideas come. And it's our own team building. But that's how we do adventure, and we do our team building. As we're not always sometimes we are, but we're not always sitting in the office, but we're out there doing it as well.
Yeah. Now, so for people out there, if they want to schedule one of these adventures for their business team, what's the best way of reaching you?
Through our website, cbstadventures.com, and one of our sales team members will get back to them and make it and design and tailor an event that meets their needs.
Well, thank you, Claudine, for coming in and letting us know a little bit more of what type of experience that people will have. And folks, go ahead, book an adventure with CBST Adventures and basically make your business team just bond together and work better together, right?
Yep, and have a lot of fun.
And have a lot of fun while you're doing it. Okay, folks, we're going to take another quick break. Again, later on the show, we do have a watch and win. That's our $25 gift certificate to the Mother Loaded Tavern over there in Breckenridge. And actually, tonight is open mic night for the Mother Loaded Tavern. So you could win that watch and win and head on over there for some local live music. Okay, we'll see you after the break.